Hello. Make yourself comfortable. Tonight we'll drift slowly through gentle facts about the living, breathing planet beneath our feet and above our heads. Take a deep, slow breath and let your shoulders relax. If these quiet wonders help you rest, consider liking or subscribing so more people can find this calm. Fact 1. Beneath the black surface of some tropical bays, tiny plankton glow like falling stars. Bioluminescence is a soft, living light made by chemical reactions inside organisms, and when you watch it drift, it feels as if the ocean is breathing in slow pulses. Fact 2. Some shorelines glow after dark when waves disturb swarms of bioluminescent plankton. The light follows the motion of the water, tracing each ripple as though the sea remembers the touch of the wind. Fact 3. There are jellyfish that can, in a way, turn back their life clocks. The species often called the immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, can revert from an adult medusa to an earlier polyp stage under stress, a curious cycle that appears like a biological rewind. Fact 4. Coral reefs are built by tiny animals called polyps, each a small, patient instructor. Over centuries, billions of these delicate builders create the complex, colorful architecture we call a reef, a city of calcium slowly grown by living hands. Fact 5. Whale songs travel for hundreds of miles through the ocean. Low, long calls move on sound waves like slow-moving light. Listening to them is like eavesdropping on a private language that unfolds across vast blue rooms. Fact 6. The deep sea holds organisms that look more like sculptures than animals, glowing and fragile and adapted to pressure and cold. In places near hydrothermal vents, life uses chemical energy rather than sunlight, making ecosystems that seem almost alien. Fact 7. Starfish can regrow lost arms, and in some species, an entire body can arise from a single limb left behind. Regeneration is a slow, patient rebuilding, a quiet reminder that bodies can sometimes stitch themselves whole again. Fact 8. Sea cucumbers can expel and later regrow parts of their internal organs when threatened, then peacefully rebuild them over time, a strange but effective way to survive an encounter and carry on. Fact 9. Antarctic icefish have blood that lacks hemoglobin, and many produce natural antifreeze proteins that stop their tissues from crystallizing in water below freezing, small molecular tricks that keep life moving where most animals would freeze. Fact 10. Some jellyfish reproduce both sexually and asexually, alternating between modes like small tides of reproduction, creating clones in one phase and diverse offspring in another, a flexible strategy for survival. Fact 11. A single drop of seawater can contain a universe, tiny microalgae, bacteria, microscopic larvae, and motile protozoa, each performing a piece of the ocean's daily chemistry as quietly as breath. Fact 12.
Phytoplankton, microscopic plants drifting near the sunlit surface, produce a substantial portion of the oxygen we breathe. Their fragile bodies float and feed the entire marine food web while they quietly photosynthesize. Fact 13. The ocean stores far more heat than the atmosphere and contains most of the planet's living biomass in some forms. Its slow motions and deep layers are part of a planetary heartbeat that regulates climates and seasons. Fact 14. On certain moonlit nights, corals release gametes in near-perfect synchrony, a mass spawning timed to lunar cues and water temperature. It is a brief silver cloud of possibility that ensures many tiny beginnings. Now sink a little deeper into the bed of night as we turn beneath the waves to the world of the very small. Fact 15. Tardigrades, sometimes called water bears, are microscopic animals that can survive extreme conditions by entering a state called cryptobiosis, a suspended animation in which metabolic processes almost stop, allowing them to endure heat, cold, and radiation. Fact 16. Cryptobiosis is a reversible state. In it, an organism may lose nearly all measurable activity, and then, when conditions improve, rehydrate and resume life as if waking from a long, quiet sleep. Fact 17. Microbes live in boiling acidic springs and in ice that never melts, in environments once thought impossible for life. Extremophiles have enzymes and membranes specially folded to keep chemistry flowing in extremes. Fact 18. Some bacteria can break down plastics into simpler molecules. Research suggests certain microbial communities may help decompose synthetic polymers more quickly than previously expected, though these processes are complex and slow in nature. Fact 19. Ancient stromatolites, layered structures formed by microbial mats, are among the oldest records of life on Earth. Slim, layered fossils that whisper of early seas where tiny organisms shaped rock and chemistry. Fact 20. Microbes have been found living sealed for long periods in places that mimic space. Experiments show some microbes can survive harsh conditions, suggesting life's persistence can sometimes outlast the environments it finds itself in. Fact 21. Viral fragments have become part of the human genome over millions of years. Pieces of ancient viruses now sit quietly in our DNA, a record of past encounters woven into the architecture of our cells. Fact 22. Not all viruses are destructive. Some appear essential for development, and certain viral elements seem to have been repurposed by evolution for functions in the host, a subtle cooperative aspect of long-term biology. Fact 23. In many cases, microbes are the primary builders of ecosystems, cycling nutrients, decomposing dead matter, and enabling plants to access the elements they need. Unseen below our feet and in our guts, they do the patient work of life. Fact 24.
Some bacteria create towering mats that trap sediment and precipitate minerals, slowly growing layered structures that can become the foundational geology of shallow seas over thousands of years. Fact 25. In laboratory conditions, certain microbes have survived exposure to simulated space vacuum and radiation for limited periods, an observation that suggests resilience but not proof of life spreading between worlds. Such findings invite cautious curiosity. Fact 26. The microbial world includes organisms that perform photosynthesis, fix nitrogen from air into soil, and produce methane in wetlands, diverse chemistries that connect air, land, and water through invisible reactions. Fact 27. Bioremediation uses microbes to break down pollutants, and in some ecosystems, local bacterial communities have adapted to metabolize unusual compounds. This adaptation is gradual and specific, not an instant solution. Fact 28. The first ecosystems on Earth were likely microbial communities around chemical energy sources, and these small, tireless life forms laid the groundwork for the complex food webs that followed, a long prelude to plants and animals. Turn now from the microscopic to the rooted, breathing world of plants and fungi, where slow networks and patient strategies hold forests together. Fact 29. Trees are connected to one another by fungal networks that move water and nutrients between roots. These mycorrhizal threads are often called a wood wide web, a subterranean exchange that supports seedlings and stabilizes communities. Fact 30. In some forests, older trees appear to share sugars with younger ones through those fungal connections, helping tender saplings survive shade and giving the forest a quiet communal resilience that unfolds over seasons. Fact 31. Cordyceps fungi infect certain insects and then grow through their bodies, sometimes manipulating the host into moving to better places for fungal spore release. It is an unsettling but precise example of fungal life cycling through other lives. Fact 32. Slime molds, not quite plant or animal, can solve simple mazes by spreading and retracting their body to find efficient routes between food sources, a humble form of problem solving carried out by a single spreading organism. Fact 33. Carnivorous plants like sundews and pitcher plants trap insects to supplement nutrients in poor soils. Their sticky leaves and shaped pitchers are patient devices for catching passing small lives. Fact 34. A leaf is a masterpiece of engineering. Veined highways for water and sugars, surfaces tuned to catch light, and subtle chemistry that defends and repairs. Every leaf a quiet work of survival and economy. Fact 35. Lichens are partnerships between algae and fungi, living together as a single, resilient organism that can colonize bare rock and withstand long droughts, demonstrating a slow, mutual strategy for claiming space. Fact 36. Some fungal networks become so extensive that a single genetic individual can cover hectares. The largest known fungal organism spreads underground, a vast hidden presence that links trees and soil like roots of a broader mind. Fact 37. Plants can send airborne chemical warnings when attacked by insects, subtle perfumes that alert neighbors and attract predators of those herbivores, a fragile communication of scent that unfolds on the breeze. Fact 38. Experiments suggest some plants can respond to vibration, altering nectar production when they detect a pollinator's wing beat. This responsiveness is small and tentative, a gentle interplay between movement and reward. Fact 39. Seeds have remarkable patience. Certain species can remain viable for centuries in dormancy, waiting for the right conditions to sprout, as if time itself is a folding mechanism they learn to endure. Fact 40. Some flowers seem tuned to the hearing range of their pollinators, changing perfume or petal orientation in ways that increase the chance of a visit. Such small synchronies form the choreography of pollination. Fact 41. Mycorrhizal fungi not only move nutrients, but also help soil store carbon, playing a quiet role in how landscapes retain or release greenhouse gases. This is part of a broad, linked cycle that spans plants, fungi, and atmosphere. Fact 42. Certain mushrooms can control insect behavior by releasing spores at precise moments or enticing insects to act in ways that spread the fungus farther. A slow and subtle manipulation played out in damp understories. Let your awareness drift from the forests to entire landscapes where rivers, trees, and soil shape weather and life in long, measured patterns. Fact 43. The Amazon rainforest contributes to its own rainfall by releasing water vapor through leaves in a process called transpiration. Vast tree canopies send moisture skyward, encouraging clouds to form and rain to return. Fact 44. The aspen colony known as Pando is a single organism connected through an ancient root system. Each trunk is a stem of one larger life that has persisted for thousands of years, a collective tree that endures in quiet clones. Fact 45. Forests can influence regional climate by cooling land surfaces and promoting cloud formation. Their presence is part of an atmospheric dialogue that unfolds slowly, season to season. Fact 46. Termite mounds are natural architects, built with ventilation and thermal control that keep the interior at a fairly constant temperature, a long-term engineering project carried out by millions of tiny workers. Fact 47. The carbon cycle is a planetary rhythm of storage and release, with plants, soils, oceans, and the atmosphere exchanging carbon through photosynthesis, decay, and dissolution, a slow bookkeeping of the planet's chemistry. Fact 48.
Rivers change their courses over decades and centuries, meandering like a sleeping serpent across plains, depositing fertile sediments and shaping the land in a patient, watery choreography. Fact 49. In places where apex predators were reintroduced, such as wolves in some valleys, riverbanks and vegetation changed in response over years. The presence of certain animals can ripple through landscapes in ways that reshape the physical world. Fact 50. The Sahara Desert was not always desert. Geological and climatic shifts over millennia have turned lush grasslands into arid expanses and back again in the deep history of the planet, reminding us of slow but profound transformations. Fact 51. Earthworms are often called soil engineers because their burrows aerate earth and mix organic matter, helping water move through soil and making land more fertile in steady, unnoticed ways. Fact 52. Peatlands and wetlands are long-term carbon sinks. Their waterlogged soils slow decay and lock away plant matter for thousands of years, holding climate memory in soft, dark layers. Fact 53. Certain coastal mangrove forests stabilize shorelines by trapping sediments and cushioning storm surge, their tangled roots forming living fences that grow with tides and storms alike. Fact 54. In some drylands, tiny biocrusts of cyanobacteria and lichens create a living skin on the soil surface that prevents erosion and helps seeds find a foothold, a delicate mat that protects the land like a thin blanket. Fact 55. Glacial landscapes move and reshape valleys with patient incremental shifts. The slow grinding and retreat of ice carve out lakes and fjords that will hold water for centuries. Fact 56. Soils hold stories of past climates and ecosystems in their layers. A single profile of Earth can be read like pages of a slow book, each horizon a quiet record of seasons long gone. As you sink further into quiet, let the movements of animals draw your attention. Their behaviors are full of small surprises, and we will follow them gently now. Fact 57. Ants build living bridges with their bodies when a gap must be crossed, linking legs and torsos into a flexible roadway that lets the colony pass over water or chasms in a single cooperative structure. Fact 58.
When floodwaters rise, some fire ants link together to form rafts that float for days, carrying brood and queens until they find dry ground. The raft is a warm, moving island made of millions of little lives. Fact 59. Dolphins often use signature whistles unique to individuals, a kind of acoustic name that helps them call to one another across the water. These private sounds thread social life through oceanic space. Fact 60. Crows and other members of the corvid family show planning in their behavior, caching food in places they can remember, and sometimes even recaching it if they suspect others watched, a slow mental accounting of future needs. Let your thoughts become as small and still as seed and soil.
We will pause here for a long, quiet breath before continuing into quieter, inward facts that move toward rest and the immediate world within us. Fact 61. Some bees show an astonishing grasp of numbers, with experiments suggesting certain species can recognize the concept of zero, a quiet arithmetic born of flower and need. Watching a hive coordinate its foraging feels like seeing a small, patient economy humming together beneath bright petals. Fact 62. Parrots, especially species like the African gray, can mimic human speech and solve puzzles that once seemed reserved for primates, using vocal play and clever manipulation to extract treats. Their intelligence is a soft social gift that unfolds over long lifetimes and repeated lessons. Fact 63. Pigeons have an uncanny ability to recognize human faces and remember places for years, a gentle urban memory that lets them navigate streets and rooftops with precise, habitual routes. In cities, they are quiet participants in a landscape of stone and light. Fact 64. Some songbirds use tools or modify items to extract food, showing that using objects is not only the province of primates. When a bird fashions a twig to reach a grub, it is solving a small problem with a measured, inventive motion. Fact 65. Elephants have been observed lingering near the bones of their dead, touching and examining them in ways that suggest familiarity and a lasting memory of the departed. This careful attention is part of a long social life where family histories are held in sound, scent, and touch. Fact 67. Birds of paradise carry entire worlds of courtship in their dances, arranging feathers, lights, and movements into slow spectacles that coax attention and choice. Watching their rituals is like watching choreography written in color and air. Fact 68. Tool use in the animal world loops back often to octopuses, who collect shells and coconuts to build shelters and use rocks to pry open clams. Their arms move with careful curiosity, testing shapes and edges as a person might turn an object in the palm. Fact 69. Certain species of whales and dolphins exhibit teaching behaviors, passing hunting techniques across generations in patterns that look like cultural traditions, a slow handoff of knowledge that shapes what a group can do and where it can feed. Fact 70. Many small birds and mammals show remarkable social learning, where a single innovative act by one individual ripples through a community until it becomes a shared habit. Culture in nature is often incremental and gentle, like water wearing a path over stone. Now, let your attention drift from social cleverness to the many ways bodies shape themselves to survive. Each adaptation is a quiet answer to an old pressure, a small engineering of life. Fact 71. Wood frogs and a few other species can freeze most of their body water during winter and then thaw in spring, their hearts and tissues pausing and restarting like a slow seasonal clockwork. This freeze tolerance depends on sugars and proteins that protect cells through long cold, allowing life to resume when warmth returns. Fact 72. Some insects survive freezing by producing antifreeze-like compounds and by letting ice form only outside critical cells, isolating crystals where they do no harm. Under blankets of leaf and snow, Their tiny chemistries press on in a suspended, patient state. Fact 73. Pit vipers and some snakes have heat-sensing pits that allow them to detect the faint warmth of a mouse in the dark, a biological infrared that reads the world in temperature contrasts and helps hunters find meals without sight alone. Fact 74. Bats use echolocation to map night air with astonishing precision, sending out clicks and listening to returning echoes that reveal shape, distance, and motion. Their navigation is a soft sonar of sound and silence that turns darkness into a detailed landscape. Fact 75. Owl feathers are structured to mute the sound of flight, edges serrated and surfaces velvety so that a wing beat becomes almost inaudible as it passes through still air. Silent flight lets raptors approach with a stillness that preserves the hush of nocturnal hunting. Fact 76. Chameleons change color not only for camouflage but also for communication and temperature regulation, adjusting pigments and microstructures in skin to reflect or absorb light. The shifting hues are practical responses woven into courtship, mood, and warmth. Fact 77. Cuttlefish and some cephalopods perform camouflage with both pigment cells and skin texture, matching color and pattern, and even changing the skin's surface to mimic rocks or waving seaweed. Their bodies are living canvases that read and reply to light and shape. Fact 78. Octopuses edit their own RNA in ways that can alter proteins in their nervous systems, possibly fine-tuning brain chemistry to local conditions. This molecular flexibility is unusual among animals and hints at a subtle internal way to adapt over an individual's lifetime. Fact 79. Horned lizards can spray blood from tiny vessels around their eyes to startle predators, and in some cases even taste foul to a fox. It is a startling tactic of last resort, a defensive flourish that relies on precise anatomy and a sudden, controlled motion. Fact 80. Camels conserve water with a combination of specialized red blood cells, concentrated urine, and behaviors that reduce heat load. They do not store water in humps as often imagined, but their humps hold fat reserves that help them endure long, thirsty stretches across desert landscapes. Fact 81.
Some marsupials, like kangaroos, can pause embryonic development through a mechanism called diapause, delaying birth until conditions improve. This reproductive patience lets mothers time offspring arrival to seasons of better food and rainfall. Fact 82. Fish such as mud skippers and certain gobies can use their fins to move across wet sand or shallow land for short distances, exploring tidal pools and avoiding predators in a liminal space between sea and shore. Such behaviors remind us that water and land are deeply connected habitats. Fact 83. A variety of organisms can change sex during their lives. Clownfish switch roles depending on social structure. Some wrasses transform when a dominant individual disappears, a fluid, adaptive strategy that rearranges reproduction to fit the social scene. Fact 84. Some insects and amphibians survive by entering long, dormant stages during drought or scarcity, pausing growth and metabolism until rains return. Dormancy is a patient life strategy, a way to wait for better pages in an environmental story. As the night deepens, we move inward once again, toward the small, domestic universe of our own bodies and the quiet chemistry that links us to the larger world. Fact 85. The human body hosts trillions of microbial residents, the microbiome, which help digest food, train the immune system, and influence metabolism. Those microbes are not guests in a sterile house, but partners in a complex, ongoing livelihood. Fact 86. Recent estimates count roughly 30 trillion human cells in an average adult body, balanced against a similar or larger number of microbial cells depending on methods. This numerical intimacy reminds us that our bodies are communities, not solitary structures. Fact 87. Humans emit very faint bioluminescence, a soft glow detectable with sensitive cameras, and linked to metabolic processes such as oxidative reactions. It is far too dim for the eye, but carries the quiet signature of ongoing chemistry. Fact 88. The elements in our bones and blood were forged in the cores of ancient stars. The carbon, calcium, iron, and many other atoms that shape us were once part of stellar furnaces, so that every breath and heartbeat is, in a deep sense, made of stardust. Fact 89. Old viral sequences embedded in our genome are historical echoes of past infections, and some of these fragments have been repurposed over evolutionary time to assist in placental development and gene regulation. Such genomic fossils are reminders that our evolutionary story is stitched from many encounters. Fact 90.
The human brain produces faint electrical patterns that coordinate thought, sleep, and dream. Those sparks form rhythms, slow and deep in restful sleep, more complex in waking thought, a quiet orchestra that keeps a person in touch with inner and outer worlds. Fact 91.
Our sense of smell links us to environments in personal ways, with odors carrying memory and mood across time. Scent is a direct line to old rooms and childhood landscapes, a small portal where past and present touch in a single inhale. Fact 92. Like other species, humans are part of planetary cycles of carbon, water, and nutrients. Our bodies grow from soils and water and return to them through many pathways, a natural circulation that ties us to seasons and to the long rhythms of the earth. Turn your gaze now to time so wide it becomes soothing, geological patience, ancient lineages, and the long resilience of life. These facts expand the sense of self into a shared story with deep roots. Fact 93. Life on Earth has weathered at least 5 major mass extinctions over deep time, and after each episode, many lineages vanished, while others diversified to fill emptied niches. Extinction is part of a long pattern of loss and renewal that reshapes ecosystems across millions of years. Fact 94. Some scientists propose that the earliest ecosystems grew not on sunlit shores, but around hydrothermal vents, where mineral-rich fluids provide chemical energy. Those hidden oases suggest that life can begin and persist wherever steady energy and chemistry allow it to be sustained. Fact 95. Sharks, with fossil relatives stretching back hundreds of millions of years, are older than many familiar trees. Their lineage has moved through ice ages and seas of different chemistry, surviving by steady adaptation and slow evolutionary tuning. Fact 96. Life repeatedly reinvents complexity, finding similar solutions in unrelated lineages, a phenomenon called convergent evolution, so that eyes, wings, and sonar-like systems evolved separately in different groups, like repeated answers to shared problems of seeing, flying, or sensing. Fact 97. The largest single organism by area is a fungal mat of armillaria that spreads underground across many hectares, moving slowly through soil and wood and linking trees in ways that are visible only when you look carefully at the forest floor. Such fungal giants remind us that size sometimes hides beneath a thin layer of earth. Fact 99. Seeds and spores can remain viable for astonishing lengths of time, with some seeds germinating after centuries in dormancy and certain spores enduring long journeys in dust and ice. These tiny packages of possibility wait patiently for right conditions to awaken. Fact 98. Some animals can regenerate lost parts. Flatworms can regrow whole bodies from fragments. Starfish remount whole arms, and some salamanders replace limbs with remarkable fidelity. Regeneration is varied across life, sometimes quick and sometimes slow, always a testimony to biological repair. Fact 100.
The planet holds more life than we have cataloged, especially in deep seas and remote soils, where small, steady processes carry on beyond human sight. The Earth breathes in cycles of water, carbon, and seasons, and through that breathing, life persists, remakes, and connects, an ongoing story of interdependence that includes you and the soft world beneath your feet. Let your breathing slow with that thought. The same cycles that shape continents and corals also shape the small daily weather of your body. Nature's patience is long and calm. Persistence and change are entwined like roots. If you would like more quiet journeys like this, find the playlist linked below and let another slow voice guide you. Sleep well and rest in the steady company of this living world.